Hi, my name is Gil Robertson, president of the African American Film Critics Association. Today, we are thrilled to be talking to some AAFCA favorites, Sanaa Lathan, Aunjanue Ellis, Mekhi Phifer, and Russell Hornsby, stars of the film Supremes at Earl's All You Can Eat. We're going to kick things off by introducing you to the AAFCA members on the call today, starting with Jill Monroe in Los Angeles, Karan Nirwal Kelly in Virginia, Dana Abercrombie in New York, New York, Nancy Green in Los Angeles, Derek Dunn in Washington, D.C., Ray Cornelius in Atlanta, and Carolyn Hines in Toronto. I'm going to let you guys do what you do so well, and I'll see you on the other side.
Mama said I was born cursed with a life of fearlessness.
Barbara Jane, your friends are here.
If you don't want that hand broke, you better get it up off her. Go on, unzip it. I want blood all over my dress. Come on! Fate might have put me on a one-way street, but I was destined to walk that street well-loved with my girl Clarice and our best friend Barbara Jean.
Look at the three of y'all walking in here all pretty and shiny. Remind me of the Supremes. Welcome to Earl's, all you can eat.
We still look as good as we did back in the day.
That's right. Come on.
I heard the news today. The world's a crazy place, y'all.
Without each other, maybe we would have believed what the world told us about ourselves. Broken pieces, hot messes, bad omens. Don't you ever think you don't deserve better, ever.
So you take my hand.
But love was our glue.
I just been thinking, if you were to ever get married, it should be to me.
Oh, all I need is your love.
I was supposed to be born fearless, but that was actually a damn lie.
It's gonna be all right.
Fate seemed to be picking on Barbara Jean for most of her life.
Stop judging me.
Oh, all I need.
And Clarice was cursed with something else altogether.
I gave up everything for this family.
I never asked you to.
With your tears, make the real hurt you. Go back to tie-dye. Wish I would do that for you, yeah.
We might have been broken hot messes when apart, but together, we painted a pretty damn good picture.
To the Supremes.
To the Supreme.
All these things that you do. All these things that you do. Oh.
How's it going, all? Derek Dunn of Reviews and Done. First of all, Aunjanue and Sanaa, you guys are absolutely glowing. I just wanted to get that out of my system.
Oh, thank you.
But my question was for Mekhi and Russell. While this film is highly catered to the ladies' friendship and their bond, did you all do anything to build up a bond offset for your characters?
I don't know if we did it for our characters per se. We stayed at the same sort of Airbnb boutique hotel type of thing, and so we were able to go out and have dinners and things like that, watch a game, things like that. So we got to just bond anyway. We'd always known each other for many years and never had an opportunity to work together. So this was like just the perfect opportunity for us to really get to know each other. We've already respected each other's work. And this was just a great organic opportunity for us to, just go further in our friendship.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Yeah, just echoing, Mekhi's sentiments. It was quite enjoyable, actually. That we were just as brothers, just to sit down and vibe and just kind of realize how much we're on the same page, just about how we conduct ourselves, married men, just how we roll in our life and how we show up and whatnot. And so it was very refreshing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm going to ask a question that I kind of posed similar to the younger lady. So this film has a very 90s feel and a very 90s feel with regards to films like Ease Bayou, Love Jones, and a lot of those other films set in the 90s, but also in the 60s. And something that as I grow older that I can appreciate about those films a lot is how they show you that friendship and love has to be intentional, whether it's love between romantic couples or between friends, that love has to be an intentional choice. friendship to be maintained has to be an intentional choice. So can you talk to me about what you've learned throughout your years, not only as actors and performers, but as just people in everyday lives, how love being intentional, an intentional choice and action inspire you as individuals, but also as performers, and how keeping that intentionality actually plays into being a performer. And we can go with Aunjanue, Sanaa, Mekhi, and then Russell.
I guess I would say that in terms of intentionality, yeah, I mean, I pull from these tremendous epic friendships that I have, relationships that I have. It's interesting. I don't really relate that much to stories that are about romantic relationships, whether that's man and a woman, man and a man, a woman and a woman. I really don't relate to them that well. What I do relate to are stories that are about friendships between women, relationships between a mother and daughter, and family. Because those have been the most important relationships in my life. A husband, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, I mean, they can come and go, but they're friends, your girls, my sister happens to be my best friend. They stay with you forever. They're not going anywhere. They're always going to be there to pick up the pieces. So I in terms of like having that intention when I come on set, particularly with Supremes, to honor that, experience.
Yeah, for me, friendships have been really, some of my friends have been some of the loves of my life. Yes, just like she said, relationships do come and go. And female friendships, these friendships can be another kind of soulmate. And just as influential and important and life-saving as a spouse. And this movie is a celebration of that. It's an homage to that. And for me, it was just a treat because it really resonates as the truth for me. It was a treat to play Barbara Jean. And I love the fact that they're so different and that they're still able to love each other so unconditionally. That was just beautiful. 3 different Black women who have 3 different experiences going through life, and yet they hold each other down. And so for me, it's just, that was the easy part.
Well, the thing is, I've always sort of philosophized on that, and people always say that blood is thicker than water, meaning that your family name, your family is thicker than water. I find that a little sometimes contradictory in the sense that I didn't choose my family. Okay, I was born into it, and then so this undying loyalty to family, if they're not deserving of it, doesn't fly with me in my objective point of view. So when I have a friend, I'm choosing that friend, and I've chosen that friend because we have a true we're coinciding with our journey together. We have the same intention in succeeding in life. We have the same goal when it comes to happiness, when it comes to experience life to the fullest. Not every family member that shares the Phifer last name has that intentionality, So sometimes family members, I may never have even hung out with them if they didn't share the same last name as me. But that's what makes something like the Supremes so impactful, is because these people that you've chosen and they've chosen you can sometimes have a stronger bond than someone who shares your same last name. So the intentionality is to find and to seek out people who share the same interests and live the same proactive and non-destructive lifestyle that you're trying to live. And that's what my intentionality when it comes to friendships and relationships in general.
I'm not following that. That's lovely.
Beautiful.
My brother.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
I know, right? Me too.
Yeah, no, I agree completely with everything you guys said. I am all about platonic soulmates, and yeah, like sometimes family is your stumbling block, while as the people, your friends, are the ones who lift you up. So I agree. So, but thank you so much for joining me, and like congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Karan Lenoir Kelly with Karanism.com and Love Music Pleasure. And I have a question for each of you. I'm going to keep it short and sweet and deep. What has love taught you about friendship, and what has friendship taught you about love?
Well, I believe that love, true love, has to be unconditional, right? So, you may not like what a friend is doing, you may not agree with it, but you love them still. And that's what unconditional love is. And hopefully you can get that in return. And that's rare. And when you find that, you should hold on to that. And I think that's what the Supremes have. So I'm keeping it short, sweet, and deep too.
That's right. I know that's right.
All right. And no help from the back. So okay.
I'm
I-
for you.
all right. I would say that it's being able to abide with someone, you know, in the worst of circumstances, and survive that together and come out on the other side and be able to, still hold each other's hand.
Yeah. And really quickly, short and sweet, I didn't understand the difference, truly understand the difference between unconditional love and true love until my first son was born. And the reason I say that is because not only as a father, as a human being, we've all made mistakes, but kids can tend to make mistakes that can get you very angry. You can be like very disappointed in the things that they do, and vice versa. But the unconditional part is that you never abandoned the potential for growth. And that's what, was my sort of foray into true unconditional love. I think I was 23, 24 when my first son was born. And to him waking me up and crying in the middle of the night, things like that, there had to be an unconditional love for me to nurture and care for him the way that I did. And as he's gotten older and as an adult now, does the same for me. So we have an unconditional love. And that's where I truly got to understand what that meant for me.
Love that.
When you speaking of friendship and love and friendship, I'll sum it up like this. The last line in the song Nature Boy says, "The greatest joy you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return."
Yes, that was beautiful.
That's it.
Haiku.
You hit that one. I just want to say it's a privilege to be in the room with you. You all continue to make us proud, and thank you.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you
You
so
guys are
much.
awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Dana Abercrombie, the Coalition. My question is kind of for all of you. We see you now as the adult versions of your characters. Your wants and your needs are much different than when you were with teenagers. Can you talk about how do you feel that defines or further defines your friendship, and also you as wives now instead of girlfriends?
Well, I think, just from my experience, people, when people get married, sometimes you can abandon your friends. And I think, a testament to the depth and realness of their friendship, Odette, Clarice, and Barbara Jean, is that they don't. They're there for each other just as much as they were as teenagers. And I just love seeing that. I love seeing the whole arc of how it never wavers,
Right. Right. I think there's this, you're supposed to, when you marry someone, leave yourself behind. And I think what's beautiful about the film, and hopefully we've accomplished this, is that, that is, we never accept that. We act with intentionality, to go back to the other question, to make sure that, our friendships are primary in our lives. That, yeah,
I just wanted to know for you, like, what was one of the most difficult things in terms of your characters, like relating to the characters or getting into the space when you were making the film?
For me, I was gonna say before you finished your question, I was gonna say the heat. Because I had Spanx on, I had a wig on, we had the lights on, and so it was like an element that, because it was that southern, steam room heat. And for me, that was probably the hardest part. I love the juiciness, the dark places. For me, that was just such a treat to kind of, step into Barbara Jean's shoes. I feel like for me, that's the fun of acting, is being able to step into another perspective. And so for me, I don't see that as something hard. Sometimes there's scenes that you think about a little bit more and you're like, okay, I hope this goes well.
Yeah.
One of the scenes that I did think about that we actually rehearsed was the scene with the argument, the three of us. But it was great just working with Aunjanue and Uzo, because we had rehearsed it enough so that we could really run it. It was a really long scene, and it felt a little bit like, the callback to our theater days. So for me, that was really just really fun. But definitely the heat was, I know that wasn't your question, but that's what came to mind. That was challenging.
Physical circumstances.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't look at it as like, I didn't step into this as like, though, this challenge, It was more like, let me put my foot into this thing. Let me just focus on this. When I got into the call about this, I was on another film, so I was kind of finishing up that, and then had to jump right into this. But it really it was a challenge that I was used to, so I didn't even really look at it as like, oh my God, this challenge. It was just like, okay, how do I shift into this scenario and make it authentic and believable? That's I think that's the biggest challenge. I don't think that there was like, oh my God, I need to know who this guy is.
Yeah, we've been doing it for a long time
We've
now.
been doing this thing for decades, all of us collectively, probably 100 years collectively.
Yeah, 100.
Together. So it wasn't that. It was just more like, how do I make this authentic, and how do I make this different than anything else that I've portrayed?
Nice. Thank you. And yeah, the heat, I can totally understand. We like right now, it's like
North Carolina's no joke.
Yes.
No joke in Wilmington.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Hi, Jill Monroe, RSVP with Jill Monroe. My question is for Mekhi. The way that James loved Odette, I thought was really beautiful in that portrayal and showing that. And oftentimes, sometimes we don't get to see that type of vulnerability and love in male characters expressed. So can you talk to me a little bit about portraying James and showcasing that vulnerable side of him and a sort of undying love that, juxtaposed we may not always see from Black men?
Yeah, and I felt the same way. I hadn't really seen this type of character be very prominent when it comes to males or African American men in particular. There's many facets to us. A lot of times we get portrayed, whether it's Black women or Black men, we be hard and misogynistic, and women are loud and neck snapping and all of that kind of stuff. And we have a multitude of ranges that you point out. You give me 10 Black folks, I'll give you 10 different people in any given room. And there's sensitive sides to us. There's sides where we're shy, there's sides where we're anxious. And to be able to portray someone who was supportive, even though he was shy, but there was a strength in his shyness and his strength in his supportiveness that to me was important to show the world that, look, you guys are missing out on the essence of what Black people in particular have to bring to the table. You're missing a whole gamut of emotions and experiences that we have to tell. And so it was an honor and a pleasure to support these beautiful women and very talented women, and lend what I can bring to the table to show a different side of African American experience that people aren't used to seeing.
It's crazy.
And to me, that's more interesting than the stereotypical things that have been handed down to us that we've had to sort of circumvent and navigate through in order to be in the profession that we call acting. So it was a pleasure to be able to do something that I hadn't really seen on screen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So my question is, I was hoping to hear a Supreme song. I love the Supremes. That's an original poster there. So can I ask each of you, what is your favorite Supreme song?
Oh
gosh.
Baby, you picked just one.
Baby, is it Baby Love one? That's
love, my
that just
baby love.
I don't know my favorite, but that's I'm
Supreme
saying Baby Love.
Where did our love go?
Yeah, that's
a
Baby
different
Love,
one, right?
One.
That's the same.
That's the same song.
No.
Give us some Supreme songs.
Well, Baby Love is one.
I
Where
can
Did
tell
I
you some
Love Go?
Diana Ross.
Get a different one. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I did mine. I did mine.
And I did Baby Love.
Because it starts, baby, 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 where did our love go? That's why you thought baby.
Is it
Love
Ain't No
was
Mountain High Enough? Is that one?
That's Diana.
That's Diana.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
that's right.
Give us a couple.
Yeah,
I felt the song Reflections was probably most appropriate for
Reflections?
this for this film because we see you all in the beginning in the 60s and then we see you in the 90s. So
This is so many. Yeah. Everything that you mentioned.
That's
all
good,
my
yeah.
favorite.
all that and then some.
You give me the best of the Supremes and I'm there. You know what I mean? You ain't got to play nothing else.
Thank you for that question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, you wonderful people. I was just thinking about watching. I mean, I've literally spent, I won't say how long, but nearly the entirety of my career working with each of you. So in one way or another. So it's a true pleasure to see each of you again.
Good to see you.
Feelings
Absolutely.
mutual.
Yeah.
And on behalf of the world's largest group of Black film and TV critics, thank you for participating in this edition of AAFCA Roundtables.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Thank you.
Guys.
We are speaking with the young ladies who star in this film, Kyanna Simone, Tati Gabrielle, and Abigail Achiri. We're going to kick things off by introducing you to the AAFCA members on the call today, starting with Jill Monroe in Los Angeles, Ray Cornelius in Atlanta, Derek Dunn in Washington, D.C., Mercedes Springer in Atlanta, Georgia, Dana Abercrombie in New York, and Nancy Green in Los Angeles. I'm going to let you guys do what you do so well, and I will see you on the other side.
Hi, ladies. I'm Mercedes with She Critiques in Atlanta. I enjoyed all of your performances in this movie. I really enjoyed the theme of friendship. Can you talk about what friendship is in this film and what you all mean to each other, what your characters mean to each other, exploring that theme?
Yeah, well, I feel like all of our characters are, we meet them so young and they're all trying to find themselves. And I feel like when Clarice and Odette meet Barbara Jean, I feel like they grow this foundation that they'll have for the rest of their lives. They'll be each other's supremes.
Yeah.
And I think it's really beautiful because it's almost like each character knows who they can go to for what. And of course, Odette is the one that'll fight for you in any situation. But I feel like each character is very caring to one another. And then, these are each other's sisters, like these are the sisters that they've picked in life. So yeah.
We watch them realize how much friendship means in life and like how much that you start to understand that like, oh, you can't go through life alone and you don't have to. And I think that it teaches everyone that's going to see this film or reminds them of that same thing, that friendship is a lifeline. Yeah, very necessary one.
I immensely enjoyed the film, but my question was for Kyanna. So the scene that caught my attention at first with you was early on when you square up on Barbie Jean's stepfather. How many takes did it take to get that? How many takes did it take to get that right?
You know what? Well, I'll tell you this. That was actually the first scene of the movie that we filmed. So you can probably imagine how the nerves were going through my body at the moment. But honestly, like, I don't think that we did too many takes because what Tina really wanted, and what she like vocalized to me is that she wanted it to feel real. Like, she came up to me, she was like, I want you to scare the living daylights out of this man. And I want you to believe that you're scaring the living daylights out of this man. So honestly, like we might have done like a few takes, and each time like I really felt like it was doing what it needed to do. Like when I looked around, I'm like seeing Tati like eating it up over there. I'm like, wow, like, okay, so this is how Odette would be affecting Barbara Jean. And then I'm looking at Abby, she's eating it up over here. I'm like, wow, so this is how Odette's actions are affecting Clarice. And I don't know, it really felt like to me, it like being that it was the first scene that we were filming, it felt like it was kicking off the experience of filming, just in the same way that it kicked off the film. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is Kyanna for Kyanna Talks podcast YouTube channel. So my question is going to be for all three of you. This film has very much a feel of the 90s films, like films that were like the Brotherhood, you know, films like Mr. and Mrs. Loving. And so it really made me think a lot about the 90s. For you, you're younger than I am. I'm an 80s baby. But what was it stepping into a film of this particular genre and feel and look? Because the vibe is very different to more modern day executions of film. So can you talk a bit about just stepping back into that part of the past and how that made you feel and like giving this particular concept of film today?
I think it was so beautiful. I think I was inspired by the films of the 90s. So when the opportunity presented itself, I was like, oh, I have to jump on board to this because I love a feel-good movie. I love a movie about friendship. And then at the end, like love wins at the end. And I love that this love that wins is sisterhood wins at the end. So it felt really good. And then I also love a period piece. Throw me in a period. So being able to play the 60s version was so much fun. I love the clothes, I love the outfits, and I think it allowed me as an artist to open my imagination and daydream for real and like go all into it, because sometimes for me when it's period, I can see the background more and I could feel the energy of what it could have been like during that time.
And personally, I've done a handful of period pieces, and what I've learned, and it's the same for the Supremes, is when I am playing a character that's in a different period, I get stripped down of everything. Like I don't try to bring in myself too much. I'm actually able to do the homework, do the research, and let the ego go away. I mean, we aren't in the 1960s, and I feel like I'm able to actually dissect the character, the settings, like the surroundings, the relationships a lot more, because I don't have that sense of, oh, this character, I could have been doing this yesterday, and you know, no, I actually have to do the research, and it's really beautiful. Like Abigail said, it's like you're kind of like plopped into the past. And it's also like, it's a connectivity to my ancestors. I'm like, wow, you know what? Like my mom was a little girl in the 60s. Like it makes me feel like maybe I'm like, you know, like I'm sitting next to her. It's so cute. Hey, Ma.
And the same way, that's I think was the most exciting part about for me, like being able to do that, like to replicate that feel good, like film from that time, from the 90s, from that time, and something that I really think that we as Black people have needed for a long time. And then as well as like, to pay homage to our ancestors, to be like, oh, this is the life that you live. This is the struggles that y'all went through, and y'all were still able to thrive and strive and shine. I think was really, just really special. And I was like, oh no, I need to be a part of this. Like I need to, because I do feel like this film is going to change a narrative for African American people right now that is it's a palpable need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. The 60s was a very special time of, I think, African American and Black history and music history and everything. So thank you so much for bringing it to life in 2024 for us older folks and for the younger folks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Kyanna Kelly from Karanism.com and Love Music Pleasure. And I want to ask you about friendship and aging. Even though I'm not an 80s baby, I'm a 70s baby, an early 70s baby. But I really appreciated the aesthetic of what happened in this film. But I want to ask you about friendship and aging because our lives and our loves change over time.
Yeah.
What did you learn about friendships that change over time? And what do you hope for your friendships?
That you got to put work in.
Yeah.
You have to really show up for your friends. You have to nurture those relationships in order for them to be able to last 30 years. I think that too, what I just realized, I was like, oh, we live in a time of being oversaturated at times, I think, with people, of like that we meet so many people on a daily basis with social media and everything else, that the idea of really honing in with your friends can get lost easily. Like I've met a lot of people that when they think about it, they go, oh, I don't have any real friends. I have a lot of acquaintances, a lot of like people around, but I don't have any real friends. And I think this film really teaches that, like, put work and effort and nurturing into what you see as a spark, what you see as like, oh no, this is a good thing and I don't want to lose this. Take the time to appreciate the people around you, people that have really shown up for you and really been there for you, and commit to that.
Yeah.
It makes the world of difference, and it's the only way that something can last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think too, for me, like my friend said this one time, she was like, love sometimes is inconvenient. And so in the film, when Odette misses her exam to go and like console Barbara Jean, that is a moment that could have changed her life.
Yeah.
You know, but like the inconvenience of love was so worth it because you are not an inconvenience to me.
Right.
And so I think that was just also the reminder of friendship. And I think that's how we remember to like cultivate those friendships and pour in and nurture people. And I really do think it's worthwhile because that's what friendship and showing up for being outside of yourself in that way, I think that's what makes the world continually go around. And not everyone has to be your close friend, but even like the kindness you receive from your friend, your cup gets filled. And so then now you just walk in an abundance of love and kindness, and it flows off to people you don't know, to workers and random people you're passing on the street. And I think that's the way we make love go around, is by pouring into one another with the friendships we have.
Yeah. And I think for me, like, what I really learned is friendship is not always fine and dandy. You know, like what's really beautiful about the Supremes in the beginning are they're young girls. They're 17, 18, and they're just now beginning life. And when you're young, you're in school, like your parents are setting up your play dates. You usually see your friends at school where you have to be there, anywhere that your parents are taking you. And once you leave school, you have to keep up those friendships yourself. You guys have to set it up. Now you're learning these people outside of the building that you've only been able to hang with them at. You're like, oh wow, this is how your relationship has been with your parents, or these are the things that you go through whenever you got off the bus and went home when we were younger. And I think things like that transformation is what continuously happens throughout life. I mean, that's just a few years of difference between being in high school and adult, but I mean, 3 decades from being in your late teens to being in your 50s. I mean, there's a lot of things that like you have to relearn in friendship, and it is not always gonna be perfect and happy. It just isn't.
And you have to
that's
relearn,
okay.
you have to relearn the people.
Yes,
You have to
grow
relearn
with them.
that.
You have
You're
to
not
grow
going to be the
with
same
them.
person at 15 that you are at 45.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And I think it's just such a brilliant testament to how things can change, not necessarily stay the same, and still be so full of love. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nancy Green with Film Critique. Hi. Hi. And, there's a lot in terms of the relationships between the women in the film. And I wanted to know if you could talk about what drew you to these roles? You kind of touched upon it a little bit, like with the setting, the time, stuff like that. But can you talk a little bit about like things in your own personal life that you related to with these characters?
I I think what first drew me to the film is sisterhood and friendship. I was in reading the script was like, oh my gosh, my friend Megan is Odette. I was like, oh my gosh, my friend Andrell is Barbara Jean. And so even being able to like see my friends in this and be like, oh my gosh, am I Clarice? So that drew me into it. And then watching as time after time, struggle after struggle, the scene where we're outside and Odette is and Barbara Jean, they're like, we can help raise your kids. We can help you do this. I was like, wow, like people want to choose you so badly. And that was just the recurring theme again and again, reading the script and even throughout the book, of just like people who are your friends who love you, want to choose you, you have to allow them to. And I think that's just such a narrative that I perpetuate so much in my life of choosing people and loving on your friends and your community and pouring into that, because I really do believe it takes a village. And so it's so nice when you have your village and you can grow it. And I think this film just really sets the baseline and the standard of what true friendship that like and sisterhood that goes through the test of time can really be.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I totally agree with Abby, because when I first read the script, I was like, wow, they are like Tina's showing these young girls being emotionally mature, which is like, I mean, it's very easy to, you know, write teenagers, very naive and things like that, which is a very true nuance. I mean, you've only been living for so long, but I mean, when I think back to when I was 17, when I was 18, I mean, I was very confident in different facets of my life. And I mean, you're about to go to college and things like that. Like you do understand pieces of life, and you're not always, you know, like you're not oblivious to everything that's going on around you, as like it's so easy to write. And Tina was very, very specific in making sure that these characters, like they were emotionally mature. And I loved that so much. Like the three of them getting together and supporting Clarice in that one moment, like I'm like, see, that is so beautiful, because you can be that emotionally mature at 17 and 18. And I just thought that it was really beautiful. Like I feel like like teenagers, you know, the justice, they got the justice that they deserve, because, you know, I just thought that was really beautiful.
Well, and I feel like too, Tina like did a really good job of like of painting still in that naivete, but in a more honest way that it's like it wasn't frivolous. It's like you could see their naivete in like the way that they don't know what decision to choose, and it's like, or the way that like, you know, they think that they're invincible in certain moments and like feel like, oh no, like they think they know everything, they think they've got it figured out. And they come to learn that, oh no, we don't. Like for me, like that story too is what drew me to the film. Like and just watching these young girls stand in who they are and learn and trip and get up again and go. Particularly too for me with Barbara Jean, like it was what really drew me to her was, and what resonated with me with her was the hardship that she'd experienced in her life. And that was something that I aligned with. And to see her get saved, like by these two girls who didn't know her from a hole in the wall and heard all kinds of crazy things about her, and still was like, no, we've got you, boo. Like we're gonna like, and how powerful that is, that to be told after everything, for life to come and tell you like, no, you are still capable of being loved. You can your life can switch in an instant, and to be open and ready for that and allow yourself to receive it. Yeah.
I mean, there's even a line that Odette says where it's like, don't you ever think that you don't deserve better, Barbara Jean.
Exactly.
And I think that's just like, it's really powerful. It's like, if you believe that you don't deserve better, how will you ever get better?
Exactly.
You know? And that was from an 18-year-old. I just
But I think it's also like, I'm sorry, the 60s just in general, they had to grow up.
They had to
They
grow
had
up.
to
Yeah,
grow up as a
sure.
teenager. So
Yeah.
Yes, that's so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Joe Monroe, RSVP with Joe Monroe. So we get to see these characters span 30 years in time. And of course, you have the other three actresses playing your adult contemporaries. So in that experience, there are things matching mannerisms, tone, etc., that I think came together beautifully in this film. Were those things that you talked about with your counterparts, or did it just naturally come together as such?
It was a little bit of both.
Yeah.
We did all have, Tina was very adamant about that, about getting us together with our counterparts to feel them out, to talk about the characters, to just form, I think really more than anything, just form a relationship with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I feel like with all of us, like, and we spoke to them about the characters, we about like, you know, what it is that we're doing here, but there was this natural kinship, I think, between each of our counterparts that like we aligned with them in a very for me in a very surprising ways that I didn't expect of Sanaa. Like, you know, it's like, yeah, I spent like, you know, my childhood looking up to her, like, and then to be and know that she trusts me and that we look at characters the same way and that we're both very spiritual in our approach, and like just our understanding of Barbara Jean being very like, okay, we're here, we're in this pocket. And so then I feel like from that, it translated, yeah, very seamlessly. Like they didn't get to see our stuff after we finished. Like they put the trust in that Tina put her trust in us and them to just hold the same heart. Yeah.
yeah, I agree. And I think there was a lot of, I had to be told, but they were telling me, they're like, you and Uzo, basically the same woman.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
similar.
And I was like, really? I was just like, but Uzo's this and she's so refined and she's so awesome, she's so great. And they're like, yeah.
Awesome.
And I was like,
Yeah.
oh wow. So I think in doing the work, it helped prepare, but then also I think a lot of things just naturally came with the essence of both of us. And she was giving me a lot of nuggets. I was like, oh, that's so wise. Thank you so much, Uzo. But yeah, just I completely agree with Tati.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when I had my first phone call with Aunjanue and she answers the phone and she's like, hi, Kyanna. So I hear we're both playing Odette. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's so kind and so sweet. And that's just how like the rest of the conversations continued on. Like we did lots of FaceTimes. We met up like at a park and just had conversations. And honestly, getting to know someone that like you look up to for so long, and like, you know, I just admire her work so much. You know, it's already an honor to be sharing a role with her, but to sit down and really like get to know her, and like Aunjanue really like cared to hear about my life story and things like that. It's like I feel like that's when you learn nuances when it comes to like, you know, it looking the same between the 60s and 90s Supremes, you know, like those conversations off screens, like, wow, like so you're learning the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a relationship that we can build on.
It becomes more natural that way, I believe.
Amazing. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Dana Abercrombie, the Coalition. My question is about Earl's Diner. I love that it's its own person. Can you talk about how do you feel that location, the diner itself, the action and the movement shaped the characters in their early development and helped form that friendship?
Well, I feel like the diner felt like safety for everyone.
Yes, it was absolutely their home.
Yes, it was their home base. I mean, that's where everybody meets up. You know that whenever you go there, whatever's happening outside of those doors, you don't have to worry about it at the moment. Your best friends, your worst enemies, everybody's there, and then you get a bite to eat. And then on top of that, I think it's something to say about like hometowns and how like you have your parents, you have your family, but mentors are very important. And Earl is a mentor to the girls. You know, they look up to him so much. He loves on them so much, and they know they're safe with him, specifically Barbara Jean. And I mean, like it's good. It's good to know that, like, if I think from like a parent standpoint, to know that your kid is somewhere safe, ain't doing nothing crazy. And I think that's like what Earl's Diner is to everyone in that town.
Yeah.
It's a safe place to
And
be.
like Earl really cultivated that. Like it was like they like for doors always open to all who are welcome, all are safe here.
Yeah.
And I think like even to talk about the personage of it, when Chick comes in and everyone's like, oh, and they see the fact it literally you feel the whole mood switch.
Right.
And then you watch Earl come in and say, no, because
Right.
I'm not treating y'all like this.
Exactly.
And we're just all people. At
Exactly.
Earl's, we were all equal. We're all
Yes,
kids
yeah,
learning and
yes.
growing.
It's like Papa Bear.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to go back to something that Jill asked a little earlier, and that was, what did you all do to really formulate your on-screen chemistry when you guys were behind, off camera? What were the things that you all did on set to really form this sisterhood?
Well, if you really want to know, we went to a trampoline park.
We did.
And we were just big kids together.
Yeah. Like from the moment we got there, we just like we were inseparable. Like waking up in the morning, knocking on doors, be like, I'm going to breakfast. Who wants to come? Like it, like just like we spent so much time together. And I think too, even on set, we made sure to always check in with one another.
Yeah.
Like, are you good? What do you need? Like, is this working? Like, just so constantly keeping with trust and solidification of that trust.
Yeah.
Like both inside and outside of set.
Yeah. And even for me, I think going to karaoke, pretending to be supreme, going to karaoke and singing with one another and just having fun. And there were even like some hard moments. Like, as we film, we're still human.
Yeah.
There are some hard moments that like in our personal lives that we helped each other like
life
walk
was
through.
happening.
Yeah. And it was just like, wow, I really do have a bond and connection with these girls. And they choose to like love and take care and like uplift me even, and then go to work and still like be like, I've still got you here on set. Like, what do you need? Like emotional scenes. You need me to hold your hand. Do you need my eyes? Like, what do you need from me? So I just think just naturally, like we all just kind of clicked.
And man, like I personally don't get to be in the position where I'm working with women that are like living such similar lives, like lifestyles as me. It's like a lot of times, like, you're playing a love interest, or something like that, or you're talking to someone older in a scene, but like very rarely are you able to work with women that like we can actually have like heart to hearts and relate on levels that it's like impossible to relate to anybody else on. And it was just so beautiful.
And it was also like, I feel like it's very rare too, like to form a bond so quickly where we were allowed to be different. Like all the girls are very different as people. Yes, like very different people. And we embraced that of each other and lifted those parts up of just like, that I think that was so special to me, like of like to walk into this space, because it was scary. Like, I was like, oh, are they gonna like me? Is it gonna be okay? Like, and to know that it was like, oh no, there is so much love and we are exactly ourselves.
Honestly, I am a goofball, and I was so happy that we could do some shenanigans and goof around. Like, it's like at the end of the day, like we're all doing this because it's fun. Like it's fun. Like this is creativity. This is artistry, and it feels good to be able to like have a great time while doing it. It is a job, but it's great.
It was a fun job. Yeah.
Thank you, ladies. We appreciate your time. On behalf of the world's largest group of Black film and TV critics, we thank you on behalf of the African American Film Critics Association.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you all.